Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And filling in for Terry Stiles this week, I'm Pauline Bennett. In this week's news, council candidates are wanted. Wood Trail gets a new big pipe, and Pet-a-Pup event raises nearly $1,600.
Stay tuned. To learn more about these stories and others, the Oxford News begins right now. Oxford Village's search for a new clerk treasurer continued last week. The council interviewed two candidates for the position. The first candidate, Lorena Stewart, was a former deputy treasurer for the city of Rochester, and the second candidate is Teresa Onika, who currently serves as an elected supervisor for Genesee County's Atlas Township. The clerk treasurer position has been vacant for over a year.
A majority of the 5 seats on the Oxford Village Council will be up for grabs in this year's November general election. To appear on the ballot, candidates need to collect signatures and file paperwork. Paperwork includes proof of identity and completed nominating petitions. You can file these documents at the Township office at 300 Dunlap Road no later than Tuesday, July 24th, 4 p.m., or at the Village office, 22 West Burdick Street. The latest you can file there is July 24th by 3 p.m.
Last week, workers for a Warren-based construction company began installing a reinforced concrete pipe on Wood Trail. The new pipe will replace the corrugated metal culvert that failed in late February, leading to a road collapse of the section of Wood Trail, resulting in a massive sinkhole. This new culvert will allow the waters of Paint Creek to flow underneath the road.
This year's Tough Mudder event has come and gone. Tough Mudder is a popular team-based event where participants tackle a variety of military-style obstacles spread over the course. Oxford Township has served as host to the independent franchise grouped event for the last couple of years.
Last week, the Canine Academy in Oxford held its Pet-a-Pup fundraiser. Hundreds of people gathered inside the Legacy Center to enjoy puppy cuddles and kisses. Nearly $1,600 was raised to benefit the local Oxford nonprofit Canine Stray Rescue League. During the event, many puppies were adopted into new homes. The Canine Academy will provide a free 4-week training class to each of the families who adopted a dog as well.
Within Oxford's small manufacturing community, RLM Industries produces a variety of parts and products for both private and public sectors. RLM Industries is adding a new product line to their production. RLM has recently partnered with the Royal Oak-based Marquette Castings LLC to manufacture cast iron cookware. Production will start with a 10.5-inch and a 13-inch skillet. And that's Oxford News for this week. If you would like to learn more about these stories and others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leaders newspaper, or better yet, catch us on our website, OCCTV.org, on YouTube, and of course, your regular channel, Spectrum Channel 191 or AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon, John Ochins with the school news, and OCTV's very own Cody Wright with the sports report. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Pauline Bennett. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
On Schooling Around, we don't just school around. We get with everyone from the superintendent to the kids to find out what's new in Oxford schools. Schooling Around, only on OCTV.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, a novel anti-acne cream is better at clearing pimples and gentler on the skin than existing lotions a clinical trial has found. Acne begins when oil glands in the skin become clogged. Bacteria called Cutibacterium acnes feed on the excess oil and release inflammatory molecules that cause angry red pustules. Mild to moderate acne is normally treated with benzoyl peroxide cream or antibiotics, which can kill C. acnes bacteria. However, benzoyl peroxide often causes skin bleaching, dryness, and stinging, while antibiotics are becoming less effective due to bacterial resistance. Jeffrey Stock at Princeton University and his colleagues wondered if blocking the inflammatory response caused by C. acnes could be another way to stop pimples. They decided to test a new class of anti-inflammatory chemicals on cells in the lab and then pick the one that looked most promising to trial on people with acne. The compound, named SIG 1459, was used on a trial of 58 adult volunteers with mild to moderate acne. Each participant was given one of 3 identical creams, SIG 1459, benzoyl peroxide, or an inactive placebo to apply to their face twice a day for 8 weeks. By the end of the study, the participants using SIG 1459 cream saw a 77% reduction in their acne activity compared to 56% for those using benzoyl peroxide. The inactive cream, well, it had no effect. One of the biggest advantages of SIG 1459 is that it doesn't cause any side effects, says Eduardo Perez at Signum Biosciences, the U.S. company developing the product. That suggests it will be a major improvement for acne sufferers over benzoyl peroxide, he says. Lab tests, studies that is, suggest the new treatment works by blocking the signaling of a key receptor in the inflammatory pathway triggered by C. acnes. As an extra bonus, it also appears to directly kill the bacteria. The researchers are now planning to test the treatment in severe acne cases. These are usually treated with retinoid medications, which stop excess oil production in the skin, but can also cause painful side effects like peeling skin and sore muscles. The SIG 1459 treatment could become available as early as next year, says Perez. Can't wait for that. In our next story, splashing around in the water doesn't just get a bird clean, it can also repair feathers. Mark Myers at the University of California in San Diego and his colleagues assessed how resilient vulture feathers are by repeatedly bending them nearly in half and then soaking them in water. They tested the calamus, the hollow base of a feather spine that sets under the skin, and the rachis, the rest of the central shaft. The walls of the shaft are made of keratin fibers with layers of a spongy matrix sandwiched between them. The researchers found that the fibers did not absorb water, but the spongy material did, swelling like a balloon and unbending the fibers. After 2 cycles of soaking and drying, the rachis recovered about 82% of its original strength and the calamus about 78%. After 3 more cycles, the calamus maintained its strength while the rachis degraded to 56%. Myers said the materials that mimic feathers could be used in self-healing structures like radio antennas that repair themselves in the rain. Wow. And over in Pluto, or on Pluto, icy Pluto doesn't seem like it would resemble a beach, but it turns out to have dunes tens of meters high. Matt Teller at the University of Plymouth in the UK and his colleagues used data from NASA's New Horizons spacecraft to study ridges near a Plutonian mountain range. They wanted to know whether these could be dunes of ice particles akin to Earth's sand dunes. The team found several signs that support the idea. They are regularly spaced, set apart by about 400 meters to a kilometer, and the angles between them depend on the mountains they border. That suggests they are formed by winds flowing down the sides of the peaks. Evidence for wind itself is found in dark streaks among the dunes. These are caused by the wind passing over spots of dark material and dragging it along. The team says the dunes are most probably made of methane ice. There is an excess of methane, that is, in the area, and it is less dense than other ices on Pluto, so it's easier for the feeble wind to pick up. The wind may be too weak to blow the methane grains away from on its own, but they might be lofted into the air when sunlight causes the surrounding nitrogen ice to sublimate. As the nitrogen ice turns into gas and floats away, it carries with it particles of harder-to-melt methane that the wind picks up and piles into dunes. Some of the particles may get welded together to form a firmer surface, like ice cubes left in the freezer too long. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Each year they take in hundreds of dogs and bring them into suitable homes. A certified nonprofit organization, Canine Dog Rescue strives to give hound dogs a new leash on life. To donate, adopt, or even volunteer, call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website, dogsaver.org, and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
What's going on, Oxford fans? Cody Wright here once again to give you this week's sports report. This last week was the last day of school, so it's pretty much a given that we are through with this year's high school sports. It's now time to get ready for senior softball, Little League, and any other recreational sporting events that will happen this summer and we'll be bringing to the community. We already hosted two of the biggest athletic events of the summer this last weekend, so let's take a look at those. It was a packed house last weekend in Oxford. I'm sure all of the hotels nearby were booked and all of our local businesses thrived off of the traffic. At Seymour Lake Park, we hosted once again the Midwest Lax Bash, a lacrosse tournament that ranged from players in leagues 8 and under and 14 and under. It spanned over Saturday and Sunday, starting at 8 a.m. and ending at as late as 7 p.m. The park estimated between 5,500 to 6,000 participants and spectators to attend over the 2 days, and we surely made our way out there as well to get in on the action. We will be releasing a promo soon to show you what you missed if you didn't make it, or just give you a documented and edited video of the weekend that you had. We got interviews with players, coaches, and parents, so don't miss it there. We're also vendors at the park with food and lacrosse merchandise. So all in all, it was an exciting weekend at Seymour Lake Park. We also hosted for the second year in a row the Tough Mudders, which took place in the gravel pit alongside Lakeville Road. The Tough Mudders is a team-based challenge that takes you through a variety of military-based obstacles. It is designed to test both physical and mental strength along with stamina and ability to work as a team to complete the course. There is, however, no finishing reward or medals, only the right to say you did it. It is not timed, and it is strongly encouraged that you focus on helping others complete the course as well as make sure you get through as well. We also made it out to catch in on all of the action, and we will be releasing a promo video of this as well. So keep your eyes peeled for both of these OCTV programs that will be coming to you. Where will you see them? Our YouTube page, which you can access through our website, that is OCCTV.org. All of our coverage of the events, newscasts, and special TV programs will all be posted on our YouTube page, which you can find through our website, along with loads of other good info about your community. Once again, that is OCCTV.org. Well, folks, that's going to just about do it for this week's report. We will be getting into more of these summer recreational and competitive sporting events soon, so don't forget to tune in every week. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you all to tune in next time. Until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
There's a lot of history to Oxford. Hidden around every corner, deep in every crack, and sometimes right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you just dig a little, you'll find the great history of our beautiful town. Welcome to historic Oxford.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. Safety has become a top priority in the wake of the school violence we've seen across the country during the past school year. Jason Lord is Oxford School's safety liaison with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. He talks about the ALICE training that's coming up for our school staff.
And depending on where you're at and what's going on during that emergency, locking down may be a very appropriate response to that, but evacuating may also be a better one. Mm-hmm. It's important to inform people that are also in the building what's going on, so even if you're not affected by it, you're informing the people that are affected by it. It includes a last resort. The C in ALICE stands for counter. So as a last resort, if this person is able to make it through a barricade that you set up or into a room that you've locked yourself into, it gives them the option to do some very basic things. We're not teaching martial arts, or we're not teaching hand-to-hand combat to our students or our teachers or anything like that, but it does give people the option to use what's available to them to do whatever it takes to save your life if you're in that type of an emergency.
This training is for more than just schools.
Alice is not specific to school buildings. The Alice program has been used by hospitals, by churches, by corporations that have buildings with large amounts of people that work in the same place. They're very basic principles that apply anywhere that a sudden violent attack could occur. And you mentioned earlier some of these skills being passed down and some of this knowledge being passed down to the students. And I think it's valuable that they have that, because even after high school, the students will go out into the world, they'll go out into the workplace, they'll go out into society, and unfortunately, like you said, these events are happening at places other than schools.
Jason says he hopes there'll be some trickle down with this from the staff to the kids.
Well, I would hope that the kids benefit from this as much, if not more, than the staff do. Like you said, if the teacher feels empowered with several different options to react to a situation where they're put in charge of keeping their classroom safe until first responders arrive, a lot of that ownership of that situation, a lot of that taking on responsibility for your own safety, that's going to be sensed and that's going to be learned, and passed on to the students as well. So I'm not sure if there's going to be any formal training of the students. I would hope there would be. That's something that's still being worked out. Again, trying to fit all this new stuff into an incredibly busy schedule already is a challenge, but I think it's valuable for the students to learn this.
More on schooling around. Nathan Spencer is the instructional coach for the Oxford School District. There's a new K-12 science program coming out called Next Generation Science Standards. He talks about its goals.
On page 1, second paragraph down, there's a statement about what the goal for K-12 science education is. And it doesn't state in there that the goal for science education is that kids memorize things so they can go out in the world and have knowledge. The goal for this is that our students, our graduates, go out in the world and they're able to have conversations. They're able to think about and discern what's going on in the world and make wise decisions, articulate what's happening in the natural world, and have arguments, not the fighting kind of arguments, but make arguments for or against something based on the knowledge we've gained through science over the centuries.
There was a cirque among us a few days ago at Clear Lake Elementary. Teacher Peggy Mueller was in charge.
This is Cirque Among Us. We're super excited here at Clear Lake. Students are going to be put into groups and they're going to rotate between 10 different circus acts. They're going to be doing trapeze work, you can see behind me here. They're going to be doing the tightrope, juggling, balancing, all kinds of fun activities, all very safe. And after they do that this morning, they're going to have a quick break for lunch and then divide up into big groups where they're going to all perform the circus for each other, featuring each of the acts they learned earlier today.
Cirque Among Us is a company out of Livonia that offers hands-on programs designed to build self-esteem, develop motor skills, and promote teamwork, and have some fun along the way. And they did. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, General Motors and Honda Motor Company will partner on the development of next-generation batteries in an attempt to cut costs and accelerate both companies' plans for all electric vehicles. As part of the multi-year deal, Honda will buy battery modules based on the next generation of GM's battery system, according to a joint release on June 6th. Financial details of the agreement were undisclosed. The latest partnership expands an advanced technology alliance announced last year between GM and Honda, which have been working on advanced hydrogen fuel cells for the deployment in 2020. The company said a primary goal of the latest project is lower development cost and better EV battery performance, notably higher energy density, longer range, lighter and smaller packaging, and faster charging times. The combined scale and global manufacturing efficiencies will ultimately provide greater value to customers, Honda said, and also GM said that. The batteries will be featured in future GM and Honda light vehicles, primarily in North America, the company said, and a company spokeswoman said China, the world's largest car market, including EVs, is not part of the deal. GM says its next generation of EVs, expected to be launched starting in 2020, will be profitable. The company has plans to introduce at least 20 all-electric or fuel cell vehicles by 2023. Development of the next generation battery components, including the cell module, will take place at GM's Technical Center in Warren, Michigan, and Honda's Automotive R&D Center in Tochigi, Japan. Honda has been slow to adapt EVs, creating an EV division in late 2016. Its new Clarity Pure EV range of 89 miles is on a par with the first generation Nissan Leaf, and the plug-in Clarity Hybrid's 47 miles is short of the all-electric range of the Chevrolet Volt at 53 miles. Takashi Setaguchi, Honda Chief Officer of Automobile Operations, said the newest agreement, in addition to the previous fuel cell tie-up, will help accelerate Honda's plans for electrified vehicles. In addition to our ongoing and joint development and production of fuel cells, the battery component collaboration will enable us to take a new step toward realization of a sustainable society, he said. And over at U of M, driverless shuttles started operating at the University of Michigan's North Campus after unexpected construction delayed launch by a few months. U of M's Autonomous Vehicle Testing Center, M-City, launched the buses June 4th for a one-year period in which the user behavior and data will be collected via onboard cameras, Wi-Fi, and LiDAR detection systems, according to a news release. Organizers are calling it the first driverless shuttle project focused on user analysis. Data will be used to gauge user trust over time and to inform the design of safer vehicles. 2 shuttles, fully automated electric 11-passenger units built by French manufacturer Navia Technologies, will cover a 1-mile round trip of the university's North Campus Research Complex in Ann Arbor. The shuttle, free for riders, will make the route every 10 minutes, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. A conductor will be on board all shuttles at all times with the ability to stop the bus immediately for safety reasons. Construction along the shuttle's route delayed rollout, which was expected last fall, U of M spokesman Susan Carney said via email. The road around the research complex was ripped up, preventing vehicle testing. About 1,000 test runs and 500 hours of testing and training were completed prior to the June 4th launch. After 12 months, the shuttle will be assessed and the program possibly expanded, depending on demand, Carney said. And on the recall front, Kia Motors America is recalling over 106,400 Sedona minivans because the power sliding door may not automatically reverse in the presence of obstructions. The recall affects Sedona minivans from the 2015 to 2018 model years that were produced between July 2014 and December 2017, according to a report filed with NHTSA. The power sliding door control module controls the sensor, which is located in the interior door well and detects unexpected changes in the movement values while the sliding door closes, the report says, and the original programming on the PSD module is set to a threshold level that may not detect certain obstructions. In the event that the door closes on a passenger, there is an increased risk of an injury. According to the chronology report, the automaker on May 17th identified that 14 of 21 customer complaints alleged some type of injuries. 2 of them were confirmed. Kia dealerships will reprogram the power sliding door module software logic, and customers will be notified by mail on June 18th. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.